Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Hey, the guys are back again. We're going to be discussing the major disaster that happened in Russia, the Soviet Union, along with all the high strangeness that followed this nuclear accident. It takes place April 26th, 1986, 1:23 a.m. Moscow time. There's an event that's going to occur that's not only going to affect the way that nuclear plants are constructed and maintained, but will transform the very landscape and ecology of northern Ukraine. This and the Fukushima disaster in Japan are the only accidents that the nuclear agencies have rated 7, which is considered, maximum, devastation. While the death toll from this initial explosion it's highly debated, it's kind of widely accepted that nearly 30 people died from the exact explosion that occurred in the pursuing, emergency work that happened. So right now, sit back, enjoy, bring your questions, join us as we discuss the Chernobyl disaster and the high strangeness that it produced. And that's right now. Welcome to the Three Beards podcast. My name is Craig, along with Austin and Chris.
Passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century.
Let me out.
I'm afraid that is quite impossible. I need a justice and honor in Massachusetts colony?
All right, we are back. I'm trying to quickly get some of these things shared out as we're doing it here, and I ran out of time. So this is man, so we're going to be talking about Chernobyl here. So how are you guys doing tonight?
Tired.
I know. Yeah, pretty much.
Fish father sucks.
It's been a long week. It's been a long week. And it's
it has. Yeah, sorry, in the middle of the week. But hey, enough about our woes. Let's bring on the guys here. Tom Kardos, Carlito Castro, and Bryan M Bowden. How are you, gentlemen?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Good, hanging in there.
Yeah, Brian's mobile today. He's down here visiting us.
Yes, it's raining.
Yes.
This whole week. So, but I got my beards wear right there.
Nice.
I'm waiting for the one with the 70s porn mustache, though.
Yeah,
it's coming.
We just talked about it. We got to get that because it's got to have the firefighter thing. So I mean, in a way, this is kind of going to be a little bit up Austin's alley, the way that this the story lays out. But we're going to go over it a little bit here, just like we normally do. Most people, that watch the show know, but you can check these guys out at North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project. Did I get that right?
That's right. You got it.
Every time I do it in my head, and then I struggle when I try to say it.
No, you got it good this time.
Yeah, thank God. And then we've got the the parent. See, it's Kingdom one. God, why can I never remember this one?
Cryptid and Paranormal.
Yeah, that's Carlito and Tom. They do that one together, and then you're part of. Is it the Supernatural Spectrum? Is that the one, Carlito? Is that the one you're part of?
No. That's I think that's Matt Williamson.
Matt Williams. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking that you were involved in that one too.
Well, yeah, I'm part of it, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's and then obviously you can catch Bryan M Bowden pretty much everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm a
Across the
freaking
board.
whore. No.
yeah. It was Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom,
There
CPK,
you
with Carlito
Yeah.
and Tom. There we go.
Yeah.
I said I knew I'd find my note here eventually that I have here. But
Yep.
yeah, especially like Bryan M Bowden. I mean, between his shows, his appearances, TV, he's pretty much a man on the mission. And wearing
Ah, I'm right there. Beards.
Nice.
I
Got the
told you
beards wear.
Tom's got one on there. I see.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah,
I got my Metallica shirt on.
nothing wrong with Ride the Lightning.
Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, it's Ride the Lightning. So there it is.
Yes, Ride the Lightning.
My favorite.
Yeah,
album.
that was a good album. Same with
Yeah.
Master of Puppets. That was
Speed metal from the 80s, yeah.
that was the one.
Master of Puppets was great.
That's the one I cut my teeth on.
That's
with
when
Metallica.
Metallica was really Metallica back then.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
one of those. It's one of those. When you listen to it, you can go back to those days and you're like, I know right where I was. I was in
Transport you back to the
North Salem High School, just listening to this song, for the first time. It was pretty cool. I liked it.
$1.50 gas. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to go political.
Now that I dated myself.
I remember 99-cent gas in Houston, Texas back in 1997.
Holy cow.
If you can believe that, yeah.
I just paid $5.49. It depends where you are in the state, the Sunshine State, but yeah.
Yeah,
Talk about cryptids.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're talking about ancient here.
Yeah.
All right, well let's because we're talking about Chernobyl, so we're going to start here off. We're going to talk about the actual Chernobyl accident, what happened, and then we're going to get into the high strangeness, everything from the giant catfish to Mothman sightings, we're just going to go. There's basically I can never find the actual name for it. You guys might know, but it's almost like a thunderbird. It's a giant black winged creature. They say it kind of resembles a thunderbird that was seen.
Right. No, yeah. No, I know what you talk about.
Yeah, I just couldn't find the name. I mean, you had to really dig deep because there's so much. Basically, it's I don't want to say like fan creations, but it's more just like almost like Hollywoodized monsters that's created. So if you type in like Chernobyl creatures, you're getting all these ones which you can clearly tell were made up, just deviant art.
Hey guys, a lot of people mistake a thunderbird with a pterodactyl. They're two different animals. Pterodactyl was a ancient dinosaur-looking bird, and the thunderbird, oddly enough, it's more like a huge crow with like the ancient bird dodo, like that, with the dodo head, like the beak is kind of round and now long. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like the difference it is.
So we'll definitely get into those.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Craig. You were saying about the makeup stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That, I guess they call that creepy pasta.
Yeah.
And where people make stuff up and wish lists and stuff like that.
Some of them are really cool. I mean, one almost looked kind of like a bison, but it was like it was almost like with teeth and stuff. Some of them were pretty cool makeup, but you can tell it's like, okay, nobody actually saw this. I mean, because trust me, this would be all over the web if we saw. But there's plenty of photos of like 4 or 5 legged cows or pigs. I think it was I want to say it was a type of cat, but it almost had an antler like coming out of its head, for the mutations. So we'll get into those, but basically 0 hour for Chernobyl was, we're going to lead up to this. The station went online September 26th, 1977. That was when, this was the Soviet official. It was quoted on this one. The odds of a meltdown are 1 in 10,000 years. And so that quote was February 1986. So like I said, from 77 to 86. So, just famous last words right there. February.
Yep.
The odds of this melting are 1 in 10,000 years. So fast forward, we're going to go a long time here. Fast forward 2 months to April 25th. Han
Solo said it.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, never tell me the odds.
Never tell me the odds. Yep. Yeah. So it's April 25th, 1986, 1 a.m. Chernobyl operators begin to reduce power to reactor number 4 and prep for a safety test and maintenance. They're gonna this is normal, these tests. So then proceeding through the day, now 2 p.m., reactor 4's emergency core cooling system is disabled to prevent the interference with this test. This is going to seriously increase the impact of this disaster, this decision that's made right here. Now, there's a temp delay in the test, and the shutdown due to regional power needs occurs. So they kind of delay this, but the emergency core cooling system is still offline. That's still been disabled. Now, 11:10 comes around. Operators are given the okay to continue with this test and continue with the shutdown. Now, there's a shift change at this time. So now the night crew comes in after this thing. So they're not given the proper instructions on how to conduct this test. So now you have a less proficient crew coming in. So now, 12:28, power level drops below what is considered safe. So the operators remove most of the control rods to try to drop this temperature. Well, this is against the plant's safety guidelines. So this is a major mistake. They have trouble raising the power levels due to this. Well, what they don't know is that xenon is building up in the core at this point. So this is, so as you can see, you can start seeing the things coming into play here. So now, 1 a.m. of April 26th, the power stabilizes, but at a lower level than they prefer. So now this still allows them to feel it's safe to proceed with the test. So they disable the AESS, which is the automatic emergency shutdown system, and other related safety measures. So now fast forward 23 minutes later, the test begins and they experience an unexpected power surge. And this has to do with the xenon buildup. Well, as this surge happens, which 36 seconds later, the operator presses the emergency shutdown thing, which results in the control rods trying to go back in, but jam. So now they don't even have this safety feature. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Craig, one thing. Every time you start listing all the the steps that's going on, the only thing I hear in the back of my head, which you should be running in the background, is that, and they usually use it on the TikToks. No one's going to notice. They're going to notice. No one's going to notice.
Yeah,
take the xenon rods out. No one's going to notice.
Yeah, no. And then you had the whole I fucked up.
Yeah.
But to my recollection,
oh shit.
But to my recollection, that wasn't in the safety manual. So I think it was an inadvertent error. It wasn't just faulty error. I mean,
it's faulty because they weren't trained. That was the problem. That's where this crew wasn't, the one that should have been involved in this. Mm-hmm. And that's, so like I said, now we fast forward 18 seconds later after this jamming, and the first explosion occurs. And then, one thing I really recommend is if nobody has seen the HBO miniseries, you've got to go watch this. Because right now, even as I'm describing it, I see all the pictures in my head. They capture this perfectly. I mean, just picture the guys in the control room and this rumble. And everybody's like, what was that? I don't know. It's like, was that an explosion? It's a nuclear. It can't explode. There's nothing to explode. And then as they're doing this, then not even a few seconds later, the major explosion happens. And it blows the 1,000-ton roof off of reactor 4. And this shoots debris. We're talking, if you've ever seen cow salt licks, those cubes, these are graphite blocks. These are flown all throughout. These are highly radioactive, and these are just blown everywhere. Yeah. There's radioactive dust, falling out. And so
they thought it was an earthquake at first, didn't they?
Yeah, they thought there was something else, and because they couldn't believe that there was an actual explosion, even though they're looking out there and they're seeing this chaos out there. The chief nuclear engineer discounts the explosions and declares that reactor 4 is still intact. And so this, and then he later succumbs to radiation poisoning, later on in the story, from this. So here we are. Now we go to 1:28 a.m. The first firefighters arrive on the scene. They have not been told what happened. They've just been told that there's an explosion. So these guys, if you watch the show, this is where, like I was telling Austin, this would be in his thing. This is the part that's so gut wrenching. Is here you have these guys, like the hero, they're coming to help. they're showing up in just regular firefighting gear. And it shows even one scene, the guy picks it up like, what in the hell is this? He's picking up a graphite block.
Oh, shit.
He's dead. I mean, these guys are dead. I mean, they're dead men walking. I mean, he's picking up the block, looking at it like, guys, what the hell is this?
This is the HBO show, HBO Max show, right?
Yeah, you can go there.
It was good. That was a good show.
Sure. Oh my God. It was good. You watch this. And so they're involved in this. So now we get to 2:15. Soviet officials have held an emergency council and decide to prevent all traffic in and out of Pripyat around there, which is the town it's actually closer than Chernobyl. And this is a town of over 100,000 people. They're not letting anybody in or out of this town. And so what they do, and nobody here in the town or the firefighters all have protective gear. Nobody has protective gear on right now. And this is nuclear fallout. Radiation is just raining down over the whole area. And it's not. Yeah, go ahead.
I apologize for interrupting, but I actually worked with a guy, really great guy named Ilya, who lived in the area. His mother lived in the town, and he would travel back and forth through Chernobyl and back, for whatever he did. And when this happened, everybody in the towns that are around the reactor, every home has Geiger counters. Yeah. And he was telling me what took place during this. They said the army came to the door and they asked for the Geiger counters. So everybody gave the Geiger counters up, right?
It's doing Soviet Union.
Well, it wasn't like, give us Geiger, it was, they were trying to hide what was taking place in Chernobyl at that point, he said. So they take the Geiger counters. So you don't know what the heck's going on, because if you turned it on, he said, if you turned it on where my house was and we happened to have an extra one, it just went nuts. I mean, it was off the chart, where you should be. Think 100 years worth of X-rays, and
in seconds,
in an hour. Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in there with you, and I got some information from him that I recalled, but I'll do that later. I just want to say that
we're almost about to that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one, so now we're going forward about another 4 hours. Small fires are out except for the main fire in the core. So this is just a raging inferno. It's basically a bubbling lava of, highly radioactive material. I'll show a picture here later on the screen of the elephant's foot, which is one, this is one of those things. So 3.5 hours later at 10 a.m. on, now we're in April 27th, helicopters begin continuous flights dropping sand, clay, boron, lead, and dolomite into the core to slow this radioactive release. Well, they're just now getting to the point where they're going to probably go in there and start removing this material that they dumped in there now. And this was back in 87.
Yep.
And they're just now going to remove it. So now we move forward about another 2 hours. So here we are, April 27th at 2 p.m. So this has already been a full day. It's 36 hours later. They just now start going in through and evacuating the 150,000 residents of Pripyat. So these residents have been sitting there in this exclusion zone for 36 hours, just taking, like Brian just said, constant X-ray shots, just constantly being radiated, everything. And if you see the shots, like I think they had to leave everything behind because everything was radioactive. It's an absolute disaster.
But the government told the people to evacuate that it was only in a temporary type of deal, and they just grab a bag and when it was really, really, worse than that, but they didn't really want to say because they didn't want to cause panic. So.
Yeah, Brian, you said you had some.
Yeah, so when the government came in and started to get people together, get them out, they couldn't take a damn thing with them. So everybody was like, "Oh, you got to leave," and people were taking everything, and they weren't. The majority, if not all of them, were not allowed to bring a thing, and they got to a certain point. I wear my wedding ring that was taken off of there. They were freaking out. They didn't like what they were seeing, but all this stuff was being thrown out. Watches, everything. Then they had to scrub down. That's if you were lucky. If you're one of the, I don't know, I don't want to say elites or people who have some kind of connection were given, that shower to try to clean them from what was going on. But nobody was allowed to take anything. Nothing.
Here's that nuclear engineers attacked reactor 4 that have gone on the screen. You can see this giant hole. So the show from HBO just captures this. They just show almost like a Godzilla-like beam, just of light just going straight up, and that's pretty much just just like a giant spotlight shooting up, and that was just the radioactive energy just going straight to the sky.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then this is the one where that's the elephant's foot. So this is just a mixture of the nuclear material that just melted into basically a large, almost like a lava mass.
Lava.
And,
yep.
Yeah, the first robot that they sent to take the photo, it fried the robot.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so
They
Yeah.
melted that shit.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no,
Okay.
no, what was Carlo?
Wasn't there a point where that lava was digging down into the structure, going down to to lower levels, where they had like a reservoir of I don't know how many tons of water, and if it hit that, it was going to cause a major explosion as well. Steam,
Yeah, it's going to be like
expands, so it was going to hit steam, and
it was basically going to blow almost the rest of the building just completely out.
Yeah. And they had a guy who's like a hero guy that he risked his life to go in there and drain all that water out, like open the water valve or whatever to drain it all out.
Yeah, the show captured. I can't remember where the guys came from. Maybe you guys. The show did the same thing. It was these guys that came in. They were basically miners.
Yeah.
And they brought in, and that was their job, to sacrifice for Mother Russia. They went in there, and they basically, went into tunnel to get down here to secure this stuff, so that way it wouldn't just, it basically, like what Carla, they were saying, if that exploded, pretty much most of Ukraine, Belarus, and stuff would be the exclusion zone.
Yeah, and the world was, the world would have been really, really screwed, worse than Fukushima, because of the winds, and it would have just covered a huge landmass because it was getting close to the stratosphere. It was really, really. I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember seeing it on the news, and knowing that this is like, holy crap, this is serious, because when we were talking about radioactive material and the shelf life of the radioactive material.
Yep.
And it's like, you just thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of years. And that's where it's like maybe a little bit safer than it was before.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing that there was 2 explosions, right, guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's
the initial.
initial.
How far apart were they? Do you know?
Less than, I want to say it's less than 10, 15 seconds. It was like a small explosion. That was the first clue that something was wrong. And then they didn't even really have much time to react. And then just boom, it blew. And I mean, this thing, it was such a disaster. And I don't know if this just happened, with this current thing that's going on with Russia and Ukraine.
Right.
Did you guys see that the Russian army was digging trenches in fortifications in the exclusion zone? And I'm like, you guys are digging up radioactive. I mean, they're just got the shoulders and they're just digging trenches, digging foxholes and stuff in this radioactive material. I'm like, obviously nobody learned. I mean, nobody really learned from this. And anyway, I mean, it literally says, don't come in here. I mean, the tours. They give you those badges, and the minute it starts to alert, you're out. It doesn't matter where you're at. It's like you got to go.
Yeah. Well, back then, Russian President Gorbachev, I remember in the 80s, he was pretty much a bad guy. You know what I mean? Kind of like the one they have now. That human lives weren't an issue to him. Like, he didn't care about human lives. He cared more about the uranium being lost, and in the rest of the world finding out, because he tried to keep it hush hush for as long as he could, until spies actually went in there and debunked everything that really happened.
Oh yeah, because I want to say, I don't remember from the show where it was at, but I want to say it was it was either like Switzerland, Sweden, somebody somebody saw a spike in the atmosphere, and nobody could figure out where this was coming from, because obviously, like you said, Russia's not talking about this, and that's what I said. Eventually, like I said, they finally got some information of where this came from. But this was just general. I mean, Fukushima is the closest thing to this, and Fukushima wasn't even as bad as Chernobyl.
And you know what? They were moderating, not moderating, actually spying and monitoring American tourists that were there, so they wouldn't get the word out to the rest of the world. And anybody that mentioned the word radioactive, they would come and pay a visit to them. That's pretty cool.
Surprisingly, too, only 28 people died within days to weeks after this happened, out of the 134 people that were close to it in containment, and then like another 14 people died within years of like cancer-related diseases from this fallout, which is it's not good to have any kind of death toll, but that's a low rate for something this big. I thought that was kind of strange.
Absolutely.
I think they've got long term. They figure the estimate is up to about 4,000 people have died directly from this Chernobyl explosion. Exposure between just Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, and the rest of Europe was up to 16,000 people that were exposed in some fashion. Globally, up to about 60,000, because of, like Brian was saying, about the wind patterns, how it was spreading through. Because this wasn't just like your normal, like, oh wow, it's just a little, the dust settles. No, this thing went up. I mean, it was just. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, take a proton pack from Ghostbusters, just set on full, just wide open. Nobody's controlling it. It's just shooting straight into the sky. It's hitting everything.
It was a major event, and here's the really weird part about both Fukushima and Chernobyl. It happens to be a very safe source of energy, if followed directly. Fukushima actually was. There's many good things that happened from Fukushima, because they realized that you can't keep batteries near salt water, which it should have been in your brain to begin with because of the corrosion and the failure. But nuclear energy is rather safe if handled correctly. And as we can see, when Craig, when you were mentioning it, it was like the Three Stooges at the nuclear reactor. It was crazy.
Yeah,
so
they canceled this. I think it was shortly after that. They stopped building. They're building several of these style nuclear plants, and they stopped those. I think there's still 4 running though.
Well, it's very interesting. I don't know if you guys read about it, but there is this one theory about Chernobyl that it was done purposely to take away the attention from a failed Russian secret project, which is almost like a listening device where they can detect anything coming at any angle from hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. And apparently they didn't take into consideration the aurora borealis within the project. I forgot the name of the project that we're talking about, but it was a top secret project. And in order, I think that the powers that be were pissed off. So in order to cover up that failure, someone is suggesting that they created the meltdown at Chernobyl.
Wow. I hadn't heard.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory. I don't necessarily buy it, because it's one thing to cover things up. It's another thing to release that kind of radiation on the planet, the world, which is just insane. But just wanted to throw that out at you.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound too far-fetched with everything that's has been going on and still going on. I mean, it doesn't sound far-fetched.
No, I mean, everybody does this type of stuff over and over again. Every country is trying to hide their mistakes or errors or whatever. And, and we as people pay the price for it. I don't want to get into the politics end of it, but in general, nuclear energy is vast. It's very inexpensive. It's with the exception of what we see here with this, the disaster, it pretty much is fairly pollution free for the most part. It's a significant amount of energy. You got to understand that in today's society, where the Tesla has become the new Prius, those batteries don't last that long. When they die, there's no place to put them. It's just as poisonous, if not more so, than this reactor.
Yeah, it's kind of just same way with wind power. Those when
Right.
the blades go bad, they can't recycle those. Those are buried.
Yeah.
And so it's huge. And this, I just put a picture up here for kind of give people a visual. This was from that HBO series, but you can see this. The guy right here on the bottom right, he was one of the people in charge. And you go there and you can see this. This whole plume of smoke, that's all radioactive. This is all radioactive fallout.
The other thing people don't really know about is before Chernobyl, we had 3 Mile Island, 1978 in Pennsylvania, which was a Level 5 event. And I was reading up on that, and I mean, they had to do mass evacuations and all that, and they cleared towns, and it was kind of like a precursor to Chernobyl. And I think still that area is pretty much desolate in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, these well, actually, I mean, I think they do still use. There's a lot of nuclear plants in PA, in Delaware, and and they still use them. During those times of 3 Mile Island, thank God you brought that one up, as well as Chernobyl. I was thinking about 3 Mile Island. I remember all these events taking place. You got to understand, like we weren't allowed to, as kids, we weren't allowed to watch our programs. It was the news, breakfast, lunch, and dinner was the news. So we always heard all this crap going on, and I paid attention to it because I was a science guy. But that started this whole no nukes type of mentality from a lot of these people, and no nukes concert, and they're just like, oh, we shouldn't be doing anything nuclear. Boy, I mean, if we kept going properly in the nuclear reactors, there's a really good shot that these cars wouldn't need electricity because they'd have mini nuclear reactors in there built into them. And I think that's going to come in the future. Some kind of nuclear reactor as a source of energy for everybody, like housing, cars, and what have you.
And funny thing too, real quick, is a lot of these things happen because the operators were not trained for both of these events. Operators that work there were not trained for any kind of emergency, what to do when this happened. So they kind of just did what they thought to do, and these were the results of what happened.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just think about that, right? So you're talking about nuclear energy, which is some buku science, buku, importance, right? And they weren't trained. Just think about in reality of today, right? I went to a place. You guys have BurgerFi down here. I don't know if anybody else has heard of it. I went to a place. I ordered for everybody in my family, 4 burgers and 4 drinks, and the guy gave me 2 drinks and a fries. I mean, he was more concerned about having his pants down like a prison bitch than he couldn't figure anything out. And I said, you want to make sure, because the computer wasn't working. And he goes, it looks right to me. And I don't normally do this, but I said, okay, so when it's wrong, I'm going to come back here and cause a real big problem for you, right? I looked right at him. And, people don't care. In the Soviet Russia, they did what they were told to do.
Yeah.
And they got whatever the rubles were, whatever. And if they're lucky, they didn't go into some kind of prison camp someplace.
They got a loaf of bread a week and a bottle of vodka, and that was the pay.
Yeah. A pot with a chicken in it.
And like Tommy said, that they were undertrained, all the operators. That is true. Because they went back and studied it, scientists and everything, and they just said, man, that place was a ticking time bomb, man, because it was badly structured, badly managed, just badly everything. It was like, damn,
I mean,
wondering how it lasted so long. You know what I mean?
Did you see some of the video or pictures, not black and white, color, of Soviet reactors and Soviet stuff back in the day, like when this was taking place? It literally looked like it was put together with a Tonka toy set, like Lincoln Logs. It looked scary, like, like, oh, don't worry about it. They're not going to notice. Yeah, they're going to notice.
Yeah, exactly.
It was compared to what we have, apples and oranges. It's like we had the Cadillac of everything, and they may have had a used Yugo. Oh my God. It was really, really bad. Yeah. You sure you want to use that?
Yeah, it does. It looks like you see some of the stuff. It's like from the 50s and 60s. It just looks like that. Even now when you go over in the Soyuz rockets, it's like you look at the facilities. You're like, this looks like this was just an old rusty location that they just decided to fire up real quick and launch it off. When this is their main launch pad, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. And they it's very interesting in some of those areas there. I don't know if you guys are into the I think it's called urban exploration or whatever it is. There are places in Russia where this stuff takes place, where they had some scientific stuff. You can go into Russia and they have a actual, I would call it a space shuttle, the Russian space shuttle, just sitting there. Anybody can take it. But it's kind of like, I don't think I would play around with it or fly it. These people have just, left things littered around the countryside. It's real scary. It's sketchy beyond belief. It's sketchier than my friend who bought a '67 Mustang and he drove it home sitting on a milk carton because, he had no seat. His dad's like, what are you thinking? Yeah, they have one of those literally in Russia in a hangar right now. You can get to it in a heartbeat without even thinking about it.
Yeah, this is there. You can clearly tell they stole the plan.
Oh yeah,
but they still didn't have the function, on how to get it to work.
Is that Russian right there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that was the Russians' version. I think it's I don't know. Is it Buran?
I don't remember the name of that thing, but
I can't remember. Yeah. They have several, but yeah, you can just see like there's kind of like one where they're abandoned.
Yeah, they just leave them at it.
They just got that Russian look, don't they?
Well, yep. This is like goes into what we were doing on the show right now. It's like I think it's so creepy when you look at the pictures of Chernobyl to see that amusement park. That is probably one of the creepiest things ever.
Yeah, I can bring that up real quick. So people can see it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, amusement park should be filled with fun and laughter, and it's just there's a ton of them. In Connecticut, there's an amusement park called Holy Land USA, and it's all abandoned. Mm-hmm. And the nuns that are watching the property are waiting for some kind of miracle that God's just going to put it all together again. And it's like really freaky. It's like it's a small Christ after all, and you're looking around like, what the heck is going on here? So when you look at that Chernobyl thing, and the weirdest part is, I know the guy from Expedition Unknown, Evan B. Stone, actually. I grew up with him, and I asked him briefly about it, and he mentioned it in another program, but he said it was super creepy because you don't hear a damn thing. You hear wolves every once in a while, and then you hear the creaking of it, like that.
Yep.
And you're like, who? And it moves. It'll move because it's losing its, and he goes, it is the freakiest thing in the world. You just like, who the hell's on that thing?
Wasn't Ghost Hunters out there or Ghost Adventures, and they record some paranormal stuff? You got a bunch of like crazy EMF and EVP.
Right. Josh Gates was there. That's what Evan was there for that one. And on one of they used a lot of FLIR, and on one of the FLIR, they caught an image of like a human being passing through, like stopping, looking, and like doing that one of those peek-ins and then going. Wow. And it bugged them all out because they were only allowed to stay there for X amount of time before they had to leave. and all the equipment that they brought had to stay there. They couldn't take any of it with them.
Wow.
It's all because of the radiation.
Also,
You're talking like $40,000 cameras. I'll just dump them.
Jeremy Wade was out there too. Steve Riley mentioned in the chat that he was out there fishing, and I'm pretty sure he did the same thing. He couldn't take nothing with him, and I'm pretty sure he caught some crazy deformed fish from that area that they probably didn't film.
Yeah, well, go look at the catfish that are swimming in the reactor water, right by the sarcophagus.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna show you these ones.
Yeah.
Like, I got the monster.
I'll keep my mouth shut, but what are 15 feet or something like that, right?
wow.
They're just like, it is insane.
Imagine catching him. That's
Yeah, imagine
They eat
catching
human
them.
beings.
You're gonna grow a third leg after you have that fillet.
It's kind of like the
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of like the Simpsons, isn't it? Where Homer Simpson works at that nuclear plant.
nuclear
Yep.
power
Yeah.
plant. Yeah.
With a bird.
Yeah, and three-eyed fish and stuff.
Oh yeah, I love it where he's supposed to, it's like the cooling button. He has to keep pressing it, and so he just falls asleep. So he just gets a little water bird that just drops it head and just keeps hitting the button, and that's how it keeps the tower cool.
Contamination. Yeah. There's a place where I grew up in the Jersey Shore. It was called, I don't know if it's still there, but it was called IFF. It was called International Flavors and Fragrances. And it was right along the shore area, and they had a huge pond next to it that kind of emptied out into floodgates to the bay. And they used to dump all their crap back in the 70s into the pond. And there was rumors that people would catch. Well, I've seen crazy looking crabs come out of that, and I've heard rumors of like glow in the dark crabs and glow in the dark fish from their contamination ponds that they used to dump their leftover fragrances into these little bats.
I am sure of that.
And you know what? It's funny you say that, Tom, because I also have a story about nuclear reactor plant. Actually, fun fact, guys. When I was really, real little, as a kid, we used to live in a small town before we moved to Houston. Way before we moved to Houston, I used to live in a small town called Bay City, Texas. You guys can look this up. There is still there a nuclear plant with two towers, what are they? Those balls, nuclear reactors, right?
Right.
And my actually, like, all of my older brothers and even my dad worked there. And I remember thinking, and this was way before Simpsons era, right? So I didn't know anything about the nuclear reactor and all the the fish with the three eyes and none of that. But I always heard stories that that they a bunch of times they got close to one of those reactors actually exploding or whatever, and they would evacuate all the workers out of the nuclear reactor plant. It's called the South Texas Project. It's STP, short STP plant, and it's in Bay City, Texas. Well, close. It's a small little town right next to it, but anyway, they claim it as Bay City, Texas. So, yeah, man, it was crazy because I would always be like afraid for my dad and my brothers. Being a little kid, I was like maybe 6 or 7 years old. And I was always afraid of maybe like an explosion like any other plant. Not
right.
I really didn't judge the mass or the power or the demolition or whatever explosion that would cause that I do now. Like, wow, man, I'm glad nothing ever happened.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you realize this
plant, yeah. So
yeah, I got a quick question for the Canadian beard, Austin. Sorry, Austin. This is my first time with you on here. That's like the Canadian girlfriend. So you're doing you're a fireman, or you're going to be a fireman, or
yeah, I put my application in for the academy yesterday, so it'll be probably in June.
Okay, so break a leg. I don't say the other one.
We should name it. We should rename him Austin Diggler now.
Yeah, there you go.
Austin Diggler.
Yeah.
Like Dirk Diggler.
Yep. I'm wondering. I mean, like, I know some people. I don't. They're all gone away because they were New York City fire personnel, or they got hurt. Sorry, Austin. They got hurt on the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you fall down a hole or a ceiling or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering,
Let's
when
be
they
honest,
when
it's
you
scaring the
when you
500
started,
pound person out of the house.
yeah,
That's right.
seriously, my obese wife. When you're doing that, how much training do you think, or did they tell you you're going to get for some kind of like chemicals or biohazards? And this would be classified as a biohazard. And that's one, and two on your equipment, because I think they may have. I don't know what it's down here, but do they give you a Geiger counter or I think it's called a reacting plate? It's a plate. It looks like a card, like you're wearing, like "Hello, my name is."
Yeah.
But if that thing goes black, that means you're dead.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know exactly yet. I haven't been to school yet, but I was messing around. My brother's a lieutenant in a different city, and he's actually like certified and technical and hazmat, all that shit. So I'm excited to get into that stuff. But I know that when it comes to those teams, they have special gear and stuff. As a basic person, I wouldn't go into that situation. I'd be outside.
Yeah.
So they have different. You have to obviously do lots and lots of training. He just finished up hazmat. No, he just finished up some kind of like mass destruction something. So he's trained it. Like I went to his station Sunday, and he is on the special hazards crew, the shot crew.
Hey,
Which is
Craig.
special hazards operations
Craig,
truck.
I'm sorry, Craig.
Cool.
Do you think you can pull up a picture of South Texas Project Plant?
Yeah, that's I've actually got one right here.
If you could, that'd be cool, man. That way people can see it.
Yeah,
You know, like,
make sure I got the right one.
Sadly, you said that too, Brian, with the NYPD. Like, 20 years later, a lot of these firefighters and first responders wind up with really bad cancers.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing relates to Chernobyl. 30 years later, a lot of people had cancers, birth defects, all kinds of problems.
Still now. All my clinicals I've been to, they're just now, it's 2022, and they're just now having these decontamination gear after going to a fire. They have these things now where they wash the stuff down. Finally. Instead of just putting it back in the truck and taking it home with you, they're having stations now that you can put it in, decontaminate it for a couple hours, and bring it back when you're done. It's 2022. They're just now doing it.
If you want to have some fun and you have a Geiger counter, you can actually, right now, even on the East Coast, you can use a Geiger counter on your food and products you buy in the supermarket, and it's gonna go off the chart. And it's so bad. This is all because of Fukushima, which was in the water. It's in the soil on the West Coast. It's headed over, so it's basically covered the entire planet. But they had to raise the acceptable amount of radioactive material number to compensate for Fukushima. So right now, all of us are getting a little taste of Fukushima, and you don't even realize it.
I remember when that happened. They were talking about taking all those anti-radiation, iodine pills and all that stuff to help kind of filter it out when it happened. They were talking about that big time, and all those infomercials selling all those, anti-radiation pills to help you, stay healthy and whatnot.
Up to a certain point, the U.S., you couldn't buy iodine.
Right.
They would not allow you to buy the pills for it. They blocked it. Most people were buying their iodine out of Japan because they still have the effects of Hiroshima and Nagasaki there.
Hey guys, and Craig just pulled up that picture with the two reactors are round. They're not like the ones in on the Simpsons. They're actually round. But I remember too that they actually had like a mass lawsuit against and a lot of workers got compensation because of the radioactive, part of it. I guess carcinogens or whatever they call it. Like they get a certain amount of cancer percent because of that.
Carcinogens.
Yeah, there you go. And they got like a whole lot of people got workers. They got a good amount of compensation because of that, because they were exposed to, I don't know how much, percentage of radiation. I remember.
Oh, I'm sure they were exposed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah. It had to be just by.
That goes.
Yeah.
Now here I was gonna real quick. I'm gonna bring up these because since we're talking about it. All right. So here is. I'm gonna bring up the right picture here. This is. If everybody can kind of see, this is the spread of the radiation from Chernobyl. You can see pretty much everything's colored in. Oh yeah, save that. Wow, you're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Save that wow for the next.
Hold on a second. Hold my beer.
So everybody can see, this, like I said, right now, it's incredible how far this radiation spread. And 3, 2, 1, there's Fukushima.
Yep.
It spread all the way across. It went from Japan all the way over to the U.S. in less than 10 days.
Here's the problem right now with Fukushima, okay? The problem is it's really, really not stable. And had they had another earthquake or another tsunami and it hits Fukushima, it's going to make Chernobyl look like a Girl Scout party.
Oh, I bet.
And it's coming our way. Actually, it's coming to the East Coast, but it's going to, the way the wind patterns, it's going to go up. It's going to go from the West Coast, but it slowly rise to the northern half of the country, probably exit out of Canada and Nova Scotia. So all these people down like in the dirty South in Florida will probably still get a little taste of it, but not as much.
Now, can you guys imagine if there was a all-out war, world war with nuclear?
Oh yeah.
Weapons?
Oh yeah, because the first one I showed you, that was just airborne.
World, yeah.
This is what's in the water.
Ooh,
yep.
Shit.
That one bothers me the most.
Wow.
Don't eat fish in California.
Well, do you think like most of the fish that people eat, comes out of the Pacific? So the cod, halibut, salmon, a lot of the stuff, crab. A lot of the stuff's coming from right up in here.
The mercury levels in the fish are high too these days, so that's another thing to take in.
Well, see, this is one of the what we not to scare this is that part where even besides these things, it is true. Nuclear power generation, is actually one of the cleanest, versions. I mean, hydroelectric's right up there too. But most people have been sold that wind, solar, and they don't. I mean, we could do a whole show on that, showing the mountains that have been stripped down, for strip mining to get the rare earth metals that are needed for solar panels and for all these things. So what's worse? The chance that we could have some, ecological disaster like this, which these ones should have been prevented, but because of governments, they weren't. So, but there's some. I mean, most of them. There's ones that they built. I mean, they're pretty much earthquake proof.
Yeah.
It's
interesting. It's interesting if you take in consideration, what's currently going on is more a political move, and I'm not getting into the politics, but they're purposely taxing and making it difficult for anybody to explore. Any of these companies, gas and oil companies, to explore or do refining or whatever on new leases, and they're trying to force everybody into seeing how great electric vehicles are. Oh, it's going to be good for our, it's better for you, right? This green new whatever. Here's the problem: in order to get electricity, you need a turbine, right? Turbines take oil, lots and lots of oil to make your electricity. So you can do something with on a small scale with nuclear material. If you have a microwave in your house, you have nuclear material, and you could that generates a tremendous amount of heat and energy. It's really not that big, and every car could have something, I guess, put within it that would no bigger than the size of a battery, that would act as a battery as well as a fuel source, but we're not going to do it because they're steering everybody into a different direction. Like Craig, you were saying, solar and wind power and electricity.
Can you imagine Florida drivers driving around with nuclear devices in each one of their cars? We'd be
screwed. Lord, please no.
Oh shit! I can't even
think
about that.
People think it's racist. They really do. Haitian drivers are horrible, man. Oh my god. I think it comes from just the way they drove in their country. They will literally like the Family Guy thing where it shows it shows that Asian lady pulling out a thing. It's like how do I change that? It's just like, okay, good luck everybody. It just pulls over all the lanes. That's pretty much what happens in Florida on a daily basis. They just.
I got to be honest. I'm coming down here, and I've never said this before to other. I mean, I live in New York City. I've been seeing New York City Drive. I've seen Connecticut, Mass, all the way up to New England as well as into New Jersey, and you guys have the worst drivers on the planet here. and that's just the younger people, the people that aren't on like AARP or whatever, and then you add the 8 elderly that are here, and they're in the far right lane saying, you know what, I got to go left here because that's where the CVS is, and I've got to get my medicine. And it's like a really bad Chips episode. It's insane.
The snowbird in Florida.
Oh my God! I'm not a snowbird anymore. I will be official in a couple of weeks.
Well, you're down here now, so you'll get used to them. The silver alerts.
Oh, they have them all over the place. Mm-hmm. Can someone take the keys from Grandpa, for Christ's sake?
Yeah. It's
take
like
them away from him.
But it's a silver alert because some elderly person wandered off of their car, so it'll just say silver alert. 2001 silver Acura plate number. Be on the lookout because Grandma never returned.
So I drive down to Florida. I don't fly. I drive down. My wife's flying back on Friday, but we were from North Carolina, all the way down here till I got to where is this? The East Coast. Boynton Beach, whatever the area there is, West Palm, the same silver alert, same color car, same license plate, everything. And it was just very odd. I've seen silver alerts, but this went from North Carolina, roughly around Fayetteville, all the way down. And I don't think this was an actual silver alert for like some old, man or woman driving. I think they were looking for somebody. Because they don't go that far down.
Yeah.
Usually you have a silver alert within a certain, area. But this was North Carolina all the way down into Florida, like southern Florida. Nah. Somebody did something messed up, and I think the government's going after them. But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Villages, Brian, yet?
Yeah.
The Villages is horrible.
Yeah, now just take those same drivers and give them golf carts. It's fucking great.
Oh my God!
Basically, The Villages. Make sure you put your gloves on. No,
I got a question for you, Brian. What's your take on the government? Allowing the everything electric, era where they don't want to lose billions of dollars in the oil industry. What is your take on that, man?
Well, the lithium mining is going to be crazy for these electric cars too because they need lithium batteries, so they got to go the lithium mining out now.
Yeah, because the government's not going to allow that.
Let me set this up for you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you need to make all these batteries that they're using for all these products comes from a country. There's only one source of it. It's called Afghanistan. Where did we pull out of? Really bad. Afghanistan. That is now under the control of the Taliban. Okay? Mm-hmm. They own the electric battery industry, and China has been schmoozing up to them for a long time. So now the Chinese own this industry. You can't build these batteries without this lithium that's there. Mm-hmm. That's where it's located. That's why I thought when we did the Gulf War, whatever, why are we there? It's nuclear weapons and these batteries. But my take is this is one party, I'm not going to get political, one party forcing you into doing something you do not want to do. It does not hurt them whatsoever. I just said this to my wife today after paying $5.50 a gallon, whatever it was. I said, there needs to be a law in Washington, D.C. in every government, whether it's city, state, local, federal. If what you do has a financial impact, like what's going on right now, to the people, then you need to pull and draw to balance that out, to compensate us. If this money should come from every representative, and if not just their pay. You want to play this game? We're going to take your pay. We're going to garnish your investments. We're going to do whatever we have to do to pay less than $5.50 a gallon. You're going to pay it. You need an incentive to get these people to actually start working for we the people. And if you don't start getting them in the pocketbook, it's not going to work. So in a couple more years, if we survive, there'll be a new president. Please, Lord, he's right around the corner from where I am. And we will be, once again, energy independent. And we will, gas will be like probably $2 a gallon. And we're fine. We're not, your children, your children's children, your children's children. It goes back, buku generations are not going to have any negative effect on what's going on in the world globally. With this, that they're trying to force your hand into doing something to create an industry that they're already in that makes them rich. Al Gore has a huge stake financially and benefits financially from all these green things. And you can't stop. What's taking place right now is a natural science thing. It's called an Earth cycle. Every 26,000, 27,000 years, the planet changes its axis and its poles. There's earthquakes. There's weather patterns and shifts. You can't stop it. It's like trying to put the sun out because it causes skin cancer. It's ridiculous. So that's my 2 cents on that, Carlito. Right there.
I know, Carlito, you're going to get running here soon.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
but are we going to do? There's some interesting things about Chernobyl and what people have witnessed there. I don't know if you guys have.
Yeah, let's. Like I said, we get those real quick because I know Carlito's got to go here. So, what was the craziest one that you guys found?
Carlito, you want to go or Tom?
Go ahead, Carlito.
No, you can go.
Okay.
No,
I saw something pretty
intense.
intense. So, I don't know how, I can't vet it, and I don't know how true it is, but several different sources talk about mutant zombies in the exclusion zone. Literally, like, deformed human beings that are like zombies attacking individuals, ripping their arms off. It plays out like a video game. It looks very much like a video game, but there is video from Russia of you see somebody shooting at these mutants. It looks just like every one of those zombie apocalypse movies, and you can see them ripping the limbs off of the individual. Yeah, that's one of the videos.
I've seen that before, yeah.
Now, I've seen a video game where there's something very similar took place, but I think they got that idea from these videos. There's a bunch of them like that. You just got to look watch what happens.
Yeah, they tear them apart. Do you guys think that's real?
Oh,
I don't know. Here's the thing, right?
Look after they left, there's no body there, so,
Well, they just ripped arms and legs off, and
if it's fiction, the guy that went down on the floor, he must have went under the ground or something, and then left like a puddle or whatever, and they
on that flocka, man. Shit.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? So you have this, you're talking about Soviet Union, right? And Ukraine being part of it at that point. That they had military bases in places. That they were experimenting with biological weaponry, probably genetic weaponry. You don't know what bases were pretty much left abandoned, and these things may have been able to get released because of, batteries dying over time due to heavy radiation exposure or whatever. So we don't know how true it is or how false it is.
Yeah.
But it's very plausible in my opinion.
And that's the one of the rumored, like what they look like.
Yeah. Well, this is your classic A1 classic zombie setup. How the world ends and all that other stuff. I've seen some of the crap down in Florida when you guys like the people that smell and sniff salts. that
yeah.
actually change the chemicals.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they
bath
start
salts and shit.
tagging.
That is insane.
Yeah. I've heard of that. I've actually seen videos where people that are into those type of drugs, which is like Tommy said, flakka, and then the bath salts, and then
Yep.
there's another one in Russia. Actually,
Flakka.
it's very, very, very common. It's called crocodilian something. It eats your
Crocodile.
meat, something. It eats. Yeah, and it's very addictive. Like people can't stop trying to get more while it's killing you. I mean, you got blisters
Oh, yeah.
and pieces of meat missing and all that. I mean, they just keep doing it. It's so
Oh,
addictive.
yeah.
That's crazy. That's like the wildest thing I've ever seen from Russia. Come from Russia.
I mean,
Yeah.
anybody up in
Yeah,
the
no,
top row of this Brady Bunch seen something?
Yeah, I'm bringing. I've got my normal figures that I usually find, the really tiny ones. So I'll have to just bring it the main screen here, because this is the long list of the mutations
Oh yeah.
that are seen. Over here. So you have just all different deformities that have happened because of this radiation in this area.
Looks like a pig.
Wow.
It is.
Crazy.
Deformed pig.
Yep.
And a mermaid.
It's looking
Yeah,
pig.
it's just you've got. You see, this is a lot of the stuff like I was talking about, like the DeviantArt. The stuff that's just it's like people make up.
Oh yeah.
But you scroll through and you find you'll find there's lots on the zombies, but you'll find every now and then you'll find the one where it's got like the lamb that's got four or five legs in the front. I mean, it's just
Yeah, that's like something I would expect for some of this type of radiation poisoning.
It's like the
You know-
elephant.
The weird thing about this whole thing, what you're showing right now, is that elephantitis of the body?
yeah, it's one of the mutations that happened, and this is one of the things like it's it's pretty
You know that's a
amazing
mutation,
the stuff.
man.
Yeah, the stuff that occurs, and it's one of those. Unfortunately, like I said, these aren't intentional. It's devastating when you see what people have gone through.
Yeah.
And the thing too,
It's-
it's,
Terrible.
I mean, I just, that's one end of the spectrum, right? The deformities. And now you have another end of the spectrum where nature will find a way to survive.
Mhm.
And you have these wolves and dogs mating with wolves and a whole different species of animal, like the blue, I think it's called the blue wolf. They're literally blue in color. And you have horses that were released. The Russians said, hey, let's just release some wild horses and see what will happen.
Now this
They'll
one-
never notice.
This one I'm not a believer in at all. I think they're all made up.
Yeah, no.
This is this is the moth. Some
Mothman.
reported like Mothman style
Well-
sightings.
That
These images look like they were easily created.
Photoshopped.
Well,
Photoshop.
the one,
Days.
yeah, the one that you have your pointer on right there, the upper left corner, kind of looks like a little bit like a Star Trek. Who are the hell those people? Klingon
Hang on.
bird of prey.
Oh yeah, yep.
Here's where I want to say something, because I don't know if I said it to you before, but I have a theory about flying humans and cryptids, and I think if you take in consideration the areas that they do appear primarily, there's always an associated energy burst, or it's always high end energy, and be it a collider or a dynamite factory in Point Pleasant or a nuclear reactor. And I think what happens is there's a rip in time space. We're getting to quantum physics at this point, but I think
continuum.
and once you have a rip in the time space, I think these dimensional beings, which are winged humanoid looking creatures, I think they find a way to go there and slip through the cracks. But I mean, I can say that I understand those look kind of fake, but there is a plausibility of having something like that.
Yeah,
Well, didn't
that one
2012
we just saw that you just said, the one on the top left, that actually reminded me of Stratos from He-Man back in the day, the cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that guy, just full-grown man with wings just flying? You know that was fake, you know what I mean? Sorry.
I have the power. Sorry.
Yeah.
There are some undertones with He-Man. Let me say that looking back on it now as an older, you look back on it, you're like, oh wow. I was like, how did I not notice that before? I mean, this is Saturday Night Live Ace and Gary stuff.
Well, my friend that used to drive through, because he used to have to go. I think his job was going from one point of Ukraine into Russia and whatever it was, but he was driving through the area that's the hot zone. And I always said, so what's it like? He goes, it's very creepy. You hear very weird sounds like people screaming in agony, but they aren't there. And then you see these little bits and pieces like these. It's almost like there's somebody that hangs on the outside of your little car, the van that he was riding, and it's like he looked over quickly, and it's almost as if someone was physically hanging on the side of the car, and then he looked away and you look away, you look back, like what was that, and there's nothing there.
Right.
So he was catching these bits and pieces and flashes. I don't know how much of it was like psychological, like his, playing tricks on him, or the ghosts of Chernobyl.
Yeah. Blackbird.
Yeah, that's the fan art version of it thing. That's one of the ones that where it's kind of like the Mothman, but it's also known as the Blackbird of Chernobyl.
Yeah. I mean, it could be,
Yeah,
I think once we get into quantum physics, it's going to explain a lot of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But,
the Mandela effect too. I mean, you were talking about that, Brian.
Yeah.
2012. When that reactor went off, it changed the whole time-space continuum and brought in a whole other reality to us. That's why people remember things.
Right now, there's a non-senile Joe Biden, and the world's a great place, and gas is like 50 cents.
Nice. Beam me up, Scotty.
Exactly.
Now, here's the thing.
Please take me there.
This is a real thing where you're talking about this. Now I'm going to bring this up because this is a perfect thing, like with the Mandela. I want to know if you guys even remember this, because we've all known like Count Chocula, Boo Berry, Frankenberry, those cereals. So how many people remember Fruit Brute?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember this at all.
No, I don't remember that.
No.
I remember. I don't remember it called Fruit Boot. I remember the character because he looked like there was a cartoon character who looked like just like him, and he had a fang, like a pointy fang in the front. I forgot his name, like Fang Tooth.
There was a cereal called Fruit Pebbles with
Yeah, like Fruit Pebbles. No, they would release this. I guess they released this at the same time as they did the other ones. I only remember the three.
No. Yeah,
and I guess there's another one called Yummy Mummy. I don't remember that one either.
No.
I don't remember Yummy Mummy.
We should do a show on Mandela Effect.
Yeah, we should do a show on remembrance of things that.
Yes, because I got a bunch of them, bro.
They say it doesn't exist and what we remember and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody in the chat, if comment down for everybody that's watching. Do you guys remember Fruit Brute or Yummy Mummy, these cereals? Because I have no recollection of this at all. And I mean, I remember when these came out, they do the commercials. I don't remember that brand.
Frankenberry and all that.
Yeah.
Frankenberry,
Yeah, everybody, like I said, all of us remember, Count Chocula, Frankenberry, but I said I don't remember Fruit Brute in any way. I have no memory of this.
Did they tell you who makes the Fruit Brute? Was it like General Mills or
General
one
Mills.
of the top?
Yeah.
General Mills.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, because
that is. Yeah, I don't remember that.
It's like that. The Oscar Mayer used to be Oscar Mayer, not Oscar Mayer. I just seen it at the song. Like, what the hell, Mayer? I said,
see, there's General Mills right there, and then if you look down, the same thing with here. You have.
Because I remember when we were kids, we used to make fun of that Oscar Mayer Wiener.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell, Mayer?
There's Count Chocula.
Count Chocula is great.
Everybody remembers that one. Obviously Blueberry. Yeah. That's what I said. Everybody remembers these commercials, but you can go online right now and you can actually watch the ad for Fruit Brute and actually see these advertisements. And I'm like, I have zero memory of this at all. I mean, this is
and this is like a retro video.
Yeah. I'll see if I can bring it up right now. It's crazy.
Maybe it was one of those like test marketplaces, like up in like some Nebraska town or whatever, or some old school.
Maybe they brought it out to the market and it didn't work, and they took it out within 2 weeks or something. Maybe, because I don't remember that.
I don't know. Because here is I'll share the screen here so people can see. People can see. Yeah, this is
crazy.
Yeah, we'll watch the Google-fi ad real quick here, because this is high quality, show here. See?
No, I don't remember this.
There's Count Chocula right there.
So you got Count Chocula, Frankie Bear, you got all this, and you got Fruit Brute right there.
It's like a Dog Man.
Yeah, I remember, like I said, I remember these commercials vividly. Just like Saturday morning stuff. I remember all this stuff. I do not remember. See?
No. I remember that Blueberry. I remember
Fruit Brute. No way.
And here's the Yummy Mummy. Like the next one. But it's like I said, you can see the ads.
Too. What kind of?
I remember this ad.
That were in cereal. Now you don't get shit. Kids get ripped off these days.
Yeah.
You get a comp.
So like half a bag.
You don't get anything today.
Half a bag in a big old box like that.
I'll tell you, life's so bad that we ordered Chinese food and the fortune had no fortune in it.
Oh God.
I'm like, seriously, I get a fortune cookie with no fortune in it? Like, what are the odds to that crap?
Got ripped off.
I don't even remember that. But that's where it says when Tom was talking about when I said about the Mandela effect and Firm Lab, you have timeline A that we were on, and up to a certain point, everybody who's up to that certain point remembers something how it was, and then once it came, they had the accident, and timeline B's tail end got connected to our A, and it's very similar, but it's like Fruit Brutes in that other end of it. So right now there are people on the other timeline going, whatever happened to Fruit Brute? Didn't we have Fruit Brute?
Yeah,
there was no such thing as Fruit Brute.
Yeah,
exactly. It's the reverse of what we're doing.
Yeah, there's stuff, and that's what I said. I mean, you look, there's Funko has made those vinyl characters. I mean, there's all this stuff around Fruit Brute, and so I'm like, was I from the other timeline?
Yeah.
Got brought over. I go, I don't know, because I have no memory of this.
Well, it depends. See, that's what I'm saying. It's up to a certain point. It depends when you were born.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, if you were born before, I would say 1999.
Yeah.
Well advanced in 1999, and you understood what was going on, not like a baby, then you would have remembered up to that point everything that transpired.
Yeah,
Anything thereafter, that's when the Mandela effect or whatever takes place. The timeline changes because our A timeline just gets connected to the back end of the B one. Yeah. It's not our timeline. I don't believe right now we are in a timeline that any one of us should be in right now.
That's
except maybe Chris.
Funny because the Mayan calendar was supposed to end in 2012 too, wasn't it, Brian?
Yeah.
Right. But that's my point.
Yep.
Something took place, and I think it was them messing around with splitting atoms, and they really did a number on time space.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We shifted timelines like Thomas.
Yeah, might have to, but yeah, that's what I thought. What you said, I just thought he'd bring it up because I just discovered that like a few days ago, and I'm like, I've never heard of this
Fruit Brute. I would know that this is like Count Chocula is still part of like when I grew up as a kid. I remember when Count Chocula came out. I remember when certain things came out. And I even remember Sinbad as a genie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I remember that. I remember that movie perfectly.
Shazam. It's like you said,
Shazam, and then they made another one
and
like
Shaquille
right after.
O'Neal did one too. Shaquille O'Neal was in another one.
That was the second one. Yeah, there you go. But the first one was that one, Shazam, and now they're saying it never existed. But I know it did.
Yeah, it's just. Well, do you remember? Is like I want to say it was at least like 10 years ago. A beer company in Colorado started brewing using Camp Chocula, Blueberry, Frankenberry. They actually bought pallets of the cereal, and they're brewing a beer based off each one. So you would think if this was such a known thing, why didn't they get this one? Why didn't General Mills make them?
But that's the point. You see, you're just
Yeah.
There's a video. I'll send you the video.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This guy's been following the Mandela effect. Now, in the Ford logo, there's like a little pigtail in the F. Okay, when you see the F, and in the second half of the F or the second line,
Yeah, the
there's
one
supposed to be like a little, right, a pigtail on it. You know, it's a squiggle and then it pops out. I never remember seeing that. The Ford logo never had that whatsoever. So this guy's videotaping, right? He comes across a car. Here's where it gets crazy. He comes across a car that's been abandoned for a long, long time. It's an old car. And he finds in the front of the car is that logo with the squiggly Q. But then he goes to the back of the car and the logo doesn't have it.
Yeah, I've seen that. I think I've seen that.
Doesn't have the damn thing on it. And he's like, he just proved that what we're saying is true.
Also,
That's
the Ford.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta pack it in. I gotta hit the road.
Yep, like I said, it's like 1:20, so we gotta get it wrapped up here, guys. But yeah, appreciate it. So man,
you got it.
Yep, check everybody out. You know, just go like I said, Bryan M Bowden's everywhere. You know, just you go find him. He is going to be on pretty much, just Facebook. You just type in Bryan M Bowden and you're going to find him.
If I'm not arrested on Facebook. Inside the Goblin Universe.
Go to CPK, Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom with Carlito and Tom. Check them out there. North Carolina Cryptid Paranormal Project. Check them out there as well. Yeah, go watch them. You can also follow them on YouTube as well, so that way you can get those numbers up.
Yeah, I'd love to get. That would be great, and get my numbers up. But what about Austin's Pornhub exclusive Fireman's Poll?
Link.
The Fireman's Poll on Pornhub. When's that release date?
There's a product, an Austin face cornhole game. It's got the mustache, like I said there, in his face, and that's what we're doing. The beat toss.
Cornhole. Oh, I gotta build one of those things.
Yeah.
You look like an 80s porn star.
long on ideas, short on funds to pull it off.
Yes.
We'll get there. Yeah. We'll get there eventually. But gentlemen, thank you for coming. We'll get this planned out. We'll do another one, like I said, we'll figure out what the subject is. So,
sure.
Awesome. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah,
all right. Well, you guys stay safe. We'll be in touch.
Thank
you. You got it. Later.
All right. See you. So everybody, brought to you by threebeardspodcast.com. You can also go there to our merchandise. You can get merchandise through the site itself, threebeardspodcast.com, or you can go to redbubble.com/threebeardspodcast. And that's how we can get to the merch right there. Check us out on all the social media. Like, subscribe, comment. Really helps us out. We're everywhere. Twitter, YouTube. We're trying to get to 1,000. We've been steadily climbing, so we'll get there. But yeah,
my goal is 10,000, so I can take a celebrity fight. I have to have 10,000. We have to have 10,000 YouTube subscribers for me to get a fight. So if you like, share, pass it off. Tell them, do you want to see this beard crack? Share so we get to 10,000.
We got to get 10,000 to see if he runs away from the dude or if he punches the dude in the face. We'll see which one it is. He's either be running for his life, because he'll end up being against it'll probably be a celebrity fight, Chris versus Tyson. And that's going to be the part. He's going to be running.
Craig, run away. Craig just don't know I can crack.
Well, you say that up until Mike Tyson's up there, Come on, bring it.
Everybody's got a plan until Mike Tyson.
Yeah. You think you can take me?
He's too old. I'll call out Tyson right now, but I don't have enough viewers. Tyson, I want you.
So there you go, 10,000 subscribers, and like I said, we'll try to make this happen of Chris versus Tyson, so we can all have a stream just like, ooh, in the face. Oh. So yeah, so check that out. We appreciate everybody. Like I said, go ERT Radio every Wednesday night at 11 p.m. ish. Like I said, we follow Into the Outer Realms on there, so just check that out. That's every Wednesday, starting at, like I said, at 11. But and then Patreon, as producers telling me to remind me about patreon.com. Laura, she's one of our patrons. We really appreciate that. Thank you. If you would like to become a beardo along with her, you can go to patreon.com/Three Beards Podcast, and you can throw a single peso our way, or as many pesos as you want. We will take pesos. Rubles can't be spent very well right now, so we'll take dollars, pesos, Canadian toonies, whatever you want to throw our way. We will take them. Yes. So everybody, but appreciate you watching. Thank you. We will be back next week. And we'll have another author on there. And unfortunately, I don't have it right here in front of me, so I'll have to just make a post about it. So everybody, good night. Thank you.
Yeah.